Jessi is with Tavistock Corporation. Tavistock Corporation is the company that owns Pier 66. Jessi is an accredited public relations veteran. She's been developing integrated communication strategies and strategic planning across the Tavistock Group portfolio of companies for more than a decade now, which is amazing for a woman who's 19 years old. You're doing a hell of a job. She leads all the public relations and communication strategies across the Tavistock development portfolio, including Lake Nona, Pier 66, Tavistock Hotel Collection, and Sunbridge. I had the pleasure of witnessing Jessi make a presentation to the City Council in the preparation for the planning session, for the planning of the development here at the property. And Jessi's here to tell us about what's going to be happening here with Pier 66, the sales, and the plans going forward. Welcome, Jessi Blake.
So I give presentations almost every other day, and usually in this room, but not nearly this formal. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to walk around and you guys can ask me questions as they come up. I know we've only got a few minutes, and I stand between you and drinks, so I'm going to try and move pretty quickly. As Paul mentioned, thank you. I grew up in town, so I have my maiden name that I usually tell when I'm here in South Florida, Jessi Hill Blakley, because most people know my sister, Sarah Hill, who is a charter broker. So I'm very familiar with the industry and very excited to be speaking with you guys, because a lot of what I'm going to show you is about how we're repositioning, reimagining this icon that has been in the community for so long and is such a destination for the marine industry. And we want to celebrate that, and we want to make it even better. But before I get into that, I wanted to give you a brief overview of Tavistock Group, because I do think it's a big piece of our story, and who we are and knowing who we are as a company is really important so that you can understand where we're coming from. So as he mentioned, I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Lewis and the Lewis family of Tavistock Group for about 13 years now, and I've worked all over the world. So for me to be able to come home now is really, really special, because if you're familiar with us, we're a little bit unique. We're a family company, but if you look at the portfolio, and we've got about 200 companies in about 11 countries right now, we look like we're set up like a big corporation, but we're really not. And I think that's what makes us special. It makes us unique because we make quick decisions, and we have the ability to do things on the turn of a hat. We don't report to a board. We have one owner and one chairman who makes most of the decisions, and he's highly involved. Just quickly to sift through some of the diverse portfolio. We do own the Hotspurs, if you're an English Premier League soccer fan. We just opened this new stadium 2 weeks ago, which is really exciting for us. We also own Albany. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Albany. This was a really fun project that we got off the ground about a decade ago. And if you haven't been lately, I invite you to go back. It's just changed tremendously. And if you haven't seen Honeycomb and some of the new buildings that have been built there right on the marina, it's a very special place. We also own the St. Regis in Atlanta. So what we're doing here falls under our hotel portfolio. And this is just one example of something in the portfolio. This is obviously the St. Regis brand, but we do have our own brand, Tavistock Hotel Collection, and the Pier 66, once it's redeveloped, will be part of that. We own the Commercial Wharf Pier in Boston and have the Yacht Harbor there, if you're familiar with the property. So marinas, marine life, marine orientation is something we know very, very well, and something we want to bring here. We're also building water where there isn't water. So in Lake Nona, we're building a city. We own 17 square miles just next to the airport in Orlando, and we have residential developments. We have a medical city. We have health and performance centers. We have the largest tennis campus in the world with 100 courts. And this is going up right next door to that. It's a resort property that will be part of the hotel collection, and it's built on a 15-acre crystal lagoon. But why we're here today is to talk about where you sit at Pier 66. And I won't go through some of the history because I'm sure many of you are familiar with the property. But if you're not familiar with the marina, Megan had to bolt out the door. And I know you guys know Megan Lagasse. And if you don't, you should get to know her. She's phenomenal. We have a good portion of the square footage, here at Port Everglades. And what's really unique is that we have a presence on both the south side and the north side of 17th Street. So we purchased Pier 66 at the end of 2016. About 7 months later, in the summer of 2017, we purchased the sales marina on the other side. And I'll show you a map in a second. But we have 32 waterfront acres in total. So this is what it looks like today, about 157 slips, 5,000 linear feet. That's what exists today. we're looking at ways that perhaps we can make it better. We're especially looking at that on the south side. There's a lot of opportunity on the south side where bigger ships especially don't have to go under 17th Street and deal with getting through the canals and all that good stuff. So really excited about the marina and what it's going to do. I know Informa's been present here, and so you've probably heard about the new Super Yacht Village and what they're going to create at this year's FLIBS. That's going to be taking place on what we call Pier South, on that south piece of property, what formerly known as the Sales Marina. And we're really excited for that and our expanding relationship with them. So again, to kind of level set, I think this is a pointer here. So this is where we are in the Pier Tower. This is what we kind of refer to as Pier North. And then we also own this big property over here that's been vacant for about a decade. And this is where the new Super Yacht Village is going to go for FLIBS. And we've got one render that in layout, but you know, we're still working through the dynamics there. But the whole idea is that they're going to have a really great tent to host events and luxury events throughout the 4 days. And then they're going to have a whole setup here with vendors and the members of Seabass. And then, of course, you know, the yachts. And then you'll be able to connect under the bridge, as you have always been able to do for the rest of the show to get to the north side of the property. So we're very, very excited about this. As I mentioned, it'll kind of look like this. I don't think it's the best picture that we've put out so far, but really, really excited about it. But what we're here to talk about, and I know I'm going fast, so I'm going to stick around afterwards. So if you have questions with drinks, it's probably more fun to do it that way. But feel free to stop me because we can chat as we go. We bought the property, as I mentioned, at the end of 2016, and we knew we wanted to do something special with it. I grew up here. I had my prom here. My grandparents have had anniversary parties here. So I was really excited to have a seat at the table personally to be able to tell Joe myself what I thought we could do. And as I mentioned, my sister's in the yachting industry. I grew up sailing prams across the way. So we knew we wanted to do something special. And if you've been on the property as you have today, it needs what I call a lot of love. There's a lot of investment that needs to go into it. So as we were figuring out what we were going to do, Hurricane Irma came in 2017 and ripped off a piece of the roof here in the tower. And since, September 2017, 154 rooms in this tower have not reopened. We chose to wait until we could reinvest in the entire property. And so it's just been our whole focus since we purchased the property to focus on this 22 acres, which we call Pier North. And we do have plans that are fast forwarding through the city. I'm going to skip through that video because you can see it online. But so as I mentioned, this is Pier North. This is the marina. If you're familiar, that's Pelican Landing down there. But the portion that we're redeveloping is mostly the hotel property. So corner to corner there. And we're leaving the marina, we're leaving Pelican Landing, and we're leaving this restaurant and ballroom for the time being. We will certainly redevelop it and do some exciting things at one point in time, but it's not part of what I'm going to show you right now. So we did announce a few weeks ago, given the scope of this project and that we're nearing the end of approvals, that we will have to shut the hotel down in order to do that. So this summer on June 10th will be our last day operating the hotel as it exists. I point out that it's a temporary closure. We hope that construction only takes us about 2 years to complete, but when you see, you'll understand it's a complex project. But I want to point out, because it's very important, the marina is going to stay operational. We're looking to reinvest in Pelican Landing. If you haven't been to Pelican Landing, it's like the best gem in Fort Lauderdale on the water. Great food, great cocktails. So we're looking to reinvest while the construction's going on, but it will not close. And Megan will stay operational. And as I mentioned, we're only expanding our relationship with the boat show. So none of that stops while we go through what I'm about to show you. So this is our plans. If you're like me, this is like Chinese. So I'm going to show you some pretty pictures to get the point across. But essentially what we want to do is we're keeping the existing hotel tower. Most people don't even know it's not designated historic. I didn't know that. There are a lot of historic buildings in the city of Fort Lauderdale and in Broward County. The Pier is not one of them. So once we get it back up to where it needs to be, we are going to designate it historic, and we're going to reopen the pier top. So if you've been around for a long time, you know it used to be a lounge. You used to be able to go up there and enjoy the views, and then previous ownership decided that it should only be used for event space, which we really don't think is the best use for it. So that's going to reopen. And so the icon of this property will and always will be the tower, and everything else is being reimagined. So we're moving the ballroom space. Right now we're right here, and we're shifting more of it over here. There's going to be a rooftop event lawn here. So we're increasing the size of the catering space. Right now, we have buildings that kind of go like this and square in the property. So if you look out on that beautiful pool deck that's behind us, you have no idea you're on the water. It's the biggest injustice, I think, to the whole site plan. I'm not saying I don't love the way it's laid out, but I don't. And one of the things that we did was we opened the layout up. We opened up so that you can appreciate not just the marina, but the intercoastal waterway. We are the yachting capital of the world. And right now, most of the property doesn't even take advantage of it. And so as I mentioned, this is 22 waterfront acres that we have here. So the entire orientation of how we've laid everything out is to emphasize what we're calling the social harbor of Fort Lauderdale. We want Pier 66 to be what it was in its heyday in the 70s and 80s when, you know, everyone who came to town stayed here. Whether you came from a boat or you came to stay or you came to play, we want everyone to rethink about Pier 66 like it was in its heyday. And that tagline, I would think, is very important to you all because social harbor, we want this to not be a boat parking lot. And I say that with all due love because I realize a lot of your boats and your clients might be out there, but we want this to have life. If you go to many ports all around the world, people go to marinas because that's where you want to hang out. So we're going to bring retail and office. There's 32,000 square feet of office space and retail shops here, right on the waterfront. We're looking at future what we could do there to play up that same thing. These are condoed buildings. So this is all residential that now wraps the edges. We're inviting our first homeowners to join the property. There's 127 units total. These are 38 condos, and there's 39 villas, and then there's 12 single-family homes. But we're also completely reimagining the hotel, as I mentioned. So if you've seen the pool, it's kind of right here, and it's a little bitty. We're doing a double-layer pool deck. There's going to be more of an adult section, if you will. There'll be a kids, more family-friendly area. There'll be a kids program. We're exploring memberships and clubs. We're tripling the size of the fitness and the gym. We're building a new building here. And again, I'm walking through a lot of this and then I'll show you the pretty pictures and it'll all make sense. But we're completely reworking the lobby. We're adding a new 4th-story signature restaurant here in a tower that kind of mimics the main tower and looks out over the water. And then there's going to be a new hotel addition. As I mentioned, we have right now these tiny low-lying, we call them lanai rooms that encapsulate. We're getting rid of all of those. And we're building a 10-story. The tower is 17-story, so about half the height. And we're going to attach it to the original tower. We're actually decreasing the room count. We have 384 rooms if the tower was open today. So we're going down to about 345, and that's just partly because we're introducing new suites and some new concepts and some better floor plans, if you will. But the way we see it is we're adding residential that doesn't exist today, so we're trading off some for the other. The other thing, if you're familiar with the property, is we have this beautiful banyan tree in the center of it. And so we are changing the whole arrival sequence, which will also help traffic, which is a big concern in the town. So that now instead of pulling up right here, you pull all the way in and you have this grand entrance that wraps around the banyan tree, but also looks out over the waterway. So we want people to enjoy the waterway from the second they enter the property to where they're sitting for dinner, to where they're sitting by the pool, or they're sitting in these really nice homes. So this gives you a little bit of a sense of the grand arrival. I liked the Porsche or Ferrari or whatever it is. Not everybody will drive those. One of the things I always like to point out is that if you've been to a Tavistock property, if you've been anywhere in the world that's something that Tavistock has to do with, we focus on the detail. Our chairman is obsessive over excellence in every detail. And so this is actually screening some back of the house and some parking garage. You'll see an obsession with landscaping and enhancing whether you're walking, you're riding your bike. We have a marina promenade that I'll point out in a second. So everywhere is elegant. So there's a grand arrival sequence. There'll be a separate lobby entrance from the signature restaurant that I mentioned. And there's that banyan tree. It's that grand entrance again. This is the view from the furthest point tucked into our marina, looking back at the hotel. So what you're looking at here is one of the condo towers. You can see this first and second floor office and retail space that I mentioned. There's a marina promenade that's going to wrap all the way around the property and will eventually connect underneath the bridge to what we call Pier South. You can see the pool decks here. This is that restaurant that I mentioned. The lobby is here. And then these villas are a little bit lower. So the towers here are 11 stories. 8 stories with a 3-story parking garage underneath that's hidden that I'll show you in a second. And then the villas are just the same type of a product, but in a lower scale. So those are 4 stories. It's a little bit zoomed in on the pool deck, giving you a sense of that arrival sequence as well. I have an aerial shot of the surrounding neighborhood. This is the shot that I think is always really cool. And all of these, by the way, are on a website, because I see people taking pictures and making notes. There's info-pier66.com. I have all of the renderings up there. I have videos. I'm going to try and show you a video that's really neat. So everything is up there that you can download and show. And if I can send you anything, my contact information is up there, so you can contact me directly as well. But I love this shot because it really shows you the life that's going to come to the marina. Again, we want people to walk here. We want people to connect here. So we're really going to play up, we're calling it a marina promenade, boardwalk, whatever you want to call it. We're going to build in seating, and we really want there to be this seamless interaction between the shops, the restaurants, the offices, and the hotel property itself. As I mentioned, there's 3-story parking garage that's kind of tucked underneath here. And what we did is we wrapped the garage with the office and retail. So you completely hide it from the marina. You don't even see it. And then we landscaped over and grassed over the top of it. So from 17th Street, it looks like you're looking at ground level. And right now, you look into a concrete hole. So from all vantage points, I think it's kind of a win-win. That's just a kind of closer up shot of that marina promenade there. Again, 32,000 square feet of office and retail. It's a better shot. It kind of shows you we've still got space up here to develop, but a good shot of 17th Street looking toward the port. Looking back toward the east. This is that shot from 17th Street. So if these folks are driving west right now, when you drive over, and if you're leaving the property, you look, and it's just a giant hole of concrete. It's the biggest detriment, I think, of the original design is that it's a giant surface lot. So you'll see we're going to landscape the top there, and it'll completely hide the parking structure. And if you're walking from below on the access road, it's completely screened and enclosed as well, so that you don't know that it's a parking garage. This is the view across the Mercedes Canal, so Harbor Beach community to our north. This would be their view. So right now they're looking at 2-story lanai buildings that were built in the 60s, and these are going to be 4-story condominium units with parking underneath. Just further down the canal there. It's an aerial. We overlaid it on a Google image, so that's why it's a little bit blurrier than the others, just to give you a size and scope of the project. Again, it's 22 acres. This is not my favorite picture, so I'm hoping the video will play in a second, but these are the single family homes. These are 12 individual lots that will be sold and built to suit according to the owners. We do have a template of about 12 different home designs that they can choose by Phil Keen Designs. He hasn't done much work in Broward. He's been in Miami, and he's based in Orlando, which is how we know him. And this just shows you the types of differentiating product that they can put. There is a break. They are not attached. They are 5,000 square feet. They are 4 stories. The 4th story is more of a setback deck. Oops, let me go back. Up here, it's more of a sun deck. So there's a setback, and there's parking garage underneath with what I call the man cave. And then really 2 stories here, but a 5,000 square foot. They look tiny, but they're a good bit. And I got asked the other day how much waterfront they have in front of them, and we're still toying with the relationship between the residential and the marina, but there's about 50 feet in front of each of them. This is just looking at the single family homes if you were in the property. So I'm going to click through really quickly because I want to play the video while I keep talking, and then you guys have an opportunity to ask questions. But if you know people who want to learn more, I'm going to run through this again on May 9th. I'm up in the Pier top, and I'm going to have all the folks who have been working on the project with me. So if you want to talk about traffic or architecture or design, we are preparing to go to Planning and Zoning Board in mid-May, which should hopefully be nearing the end of the process, though in the city you never know. So this is an educational process for those in the community who want to learn more, but I would welcome you if you have clients, people who are interested, colleagues who are unable to come, more the merrier. I always have food and drinks. Somebody mentioned that on the panel before, so it should be a good time. And as I mentioned, this website down here, info-pier66.com, everything that I show you and more is up on that website. There's timelines. Anything that's gone through the city in terms of applications and approvals, everything's up on the website. My email and my cell phone number are up there as well. And then there's this contact form, which I would encourage you, and again, your colleagues who might be interested can sign up on. We keep a database, and I send regular communications out, not just about the redevelopment project, but also about specials at Pelican Landing and brunch up in Pier Top and anything that I think might be of interest. Megan and I also work together to share news about the marina. So if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to sign up. And I'm hoping this will play. It might be a little zoomed in. And this is just a, oh, you recognize that? I don't know. I'm not supposed to disclose whose it is, but some guy that we know who blocks the view from Pelican quite often. So this, to me, just brings it to life a little bit more. It's the same renderings, just brought to life in video form. Again, this is on our website as well. I just think it showcases it much, much more. We're really, really excited about the project. As I mentioned, so we have planning and zoning in mid-May. Pending we get approvals, we can move forward on the next steps, and we would have to go through permitting. We would love to be under construction by the end of the year. If we start by the end of the year and construction goes smoothly, the project could take approximately 2 years, and that would put us at first quarter of 2022. I don't like to hold my breath when I say dates, because once you say them, they're out there, but that's the approximate timeline if everything went according to plan. The reception from the community has been relatively positive. I would say it's been more than positive from the marine industry, which we're very appreciative of. I get a lot of questions about the south side. We, as I mentioned, have been so focused on this. I mean, this is a massive project and a massive redevelopment, and on a very special piece of property. And so we have been wholly focused on what we're creating here. But we do have that 10 acres on the south side that I mentioned. The marina is operational there and will remain operational there. Long term, I think we're probably 3 to 5 years away from really knowing what we want to do with it. If you fill out a form online or you want to send me an email, we are gathering information, and I've been meeting with Paul and others to get me feedback on what might be best for that property. If you've been here a long time, you remember the Pink Palace used to have a lot of office and small retail. We've had a lot of interest from the community in that. I get a lot of interest from marine-related business for office space. We've been looking at, and if you're familiar with the Sales Marina, it's quite small for its fabulous location on the port. We are looking at, could we expand that in ways? One of the things that we're looking at sooner rather than later, and I call it the kink dock, but the face dock that's over there has this little kink in the middle that prohibits us from putting boats over a certain size on that side, which would be a huge benefit. So we are looking at if we could fix that sooner rather than later. We are looking to do a small dredge on the north side as well by Pelicans, where there's a hump. Again, if you're familiar, that's where the unexperienced boaters get stuck occasionally from time to time. So we're hoping to fix that. It'll also make the turn down Mercedes Canal much more convenient. But we are looking also at ways in which we can activate that south property in the 3 to 5 years so that it doesn't just sit there as vacant space. So, unique special event and a 4-day event that we are very excited about. But we did get approvals in January from the city to potentially do other waterfront venue activities there. And so we're working through that. Nothing set in stone, but we did get the go-ahead to pursue designs should we wish. So we're going to revisit that after the boat show. Nothing much can be done in the next couple of months other than we're improving the electric, we're improving some of the utilities, basic infrastructure in the next couple of months. But would welcome any feedback, especially from you all as it relates to what you think your business is, what you think your clients might see of interest on that south piece of property. As you can see, and it's coming up to the pool deck, which is my favorite, and you'll be able to see the homes a little bit better. We're really excited about this project, and I'm happy to answer any questions because I know I rambled really, really fast. Yep. Yes, it will still spin. It was a challenge with the water intrusion that came in 2017 to find somebody who could actually fix it because it was put together in the 60s. But we will have it as a rotating rooftop, which you can stop if you wanted to. I prefer not to speak like this with it spinning. It just doesn't work. So yes.
The problem is when you get up and you try to leave, and you're facing a completely different direction.
Yeah.
I had my prom free party there as well.
Yeah, it's the reason why everybody got sick, right? That's what we'll blame.
Sure, we'll go with that.
We'll blame that.
We'll go with that. Nils.
Will you have plans for day dockage, some transient dockage, as well as access by boat to the new retail area that you're planning?
Yep, it's one thing Megan and I are talking about now, and we're working with a lot of different consultants to look at just even redesigning so that we can accommodate more transient dockage. A lot of people in the community don't even know today that all they have to do is call the dock master, and as long as we have the space and we have the right kind of dock for the right kind of vessel, we can accommodate you, but it's not well known. And one of the things that we're very sensitive to, especially when the hotel closes, is to make sure that people know that the marina is still here and the marina is still accessible. And we are looking at permanent space. Right now, there isn't permanent space. But now that we have the sails, and then we have potentially maybe some access under the bridge if we can work with the city, we'd also like to increase water taxi, which ceased operations on our property with the previous ownership. So we're looking at that just, again, to increase the opportunities. I know the convention center has a stop right across, and with their expansion, we think in the park that they're building, there could be a lot of great connectivity just to go across the bridge. So yes, that is a conversation we are definitely having.
Advertising in Compass Magazine would be a great way to get that message out.
I could, we can talk about that. I have some support letters you can send to key officials, and maybe we'll talk.
I think we could work out a trade.
That.
Any other questions? I'm thinking the IYBA office is going to be a great place to have a new home right there.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful spot. Jessi, thank you so much.
Thank you for having
me. It's really exciting about what you're doing here at the property.